Welcome to Did She Really Say That? The podcast for women who are done following the traditional business rules that don't serve us. I am your host, Katrina van Oudheusden, and in every episode, we break down what it really takes to scale your business as a woman. No burnout, no BS, no apologies. So if you're ready to discover how your natural female intelligence can become your biggest and most authentic advantage, grab your free guide at createherplanner.com/free. Now let's dive into today's episode. Well, welcome back to Did She Really Say That? And for those that are listening, you're going to hear three voices today because I am joined by my business partner, Heidi, and our amazing guest, Elaine Lankford. We are going to have an amazing conversation today. So I want to just kind of set the tone because I know a lot of you women that are listening here to Did She Really Say That want to build a nonprofit, want to design your business. And what I love about Elaine is that she's doing something that is both, right? So she's got a coaching business, a nonprofit business on two different continents, mind you. And we're going to have an honest conversation around what's it like to build something like that? How does that come about? And how do you transition from a corporate space into this entrepreneurial space and do this with such confidence and conviction and what that looks like? So Elaine is a passionate advocate for Christian female entrepreneurs dedicated to helping them launch and grow a successful business, ministries, and nonprofits. If this sounds like something you want to do, ladies, you're going to want to stick around for this entire episode. She is the founder of She Steps Forward Coaching and She Steps Forward International. She empowers women to step confidently into their God-sized dreams. Through She Steps Forward's coaching, Elaine offers targeted strategic planning and individual support to aspiring female entrepreneurs, which I know are all of my listeners. I can hear you aspiring as you listen in. As a certified John Maxwell team member, she brings expertise in speaking, writing, leadership development, and the entrepreneurial coaching to her faith-based business. And I think this is really something important as we go through as women is that spirituality, that faith base is such a key component to us trusting ourselves in this process. She's expanded her vision globally. She's established a She Steps Forward International SSFI, double SFI, I'm calling it that, a nonprofit organization that equips both Americans and African women to lead impactful ventures. Through her flagship event, the She Steps Forward International and Entrepreneurial Intensive, she unites like-minded females annually, each March in the United States and in July in Africa, fostering a global community, which I want to hear more about because dang, girl, that sounds like a lot going on, of inspiration and shared wisdom. So, Elaine, thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm excited to have you.
Oh my gosh, thank you all so much for this opportunity. I'm such a fangirl of you all.
Well, I'm excited because this is your journey. So let's start at the beginning, right? So for all of our listeners, how did you get started? So we have that you were a clinical nurse in leadership, and then how did you step into the world of entrepreneurship? What did that experience or what was that like? What was that journey for you?
Well, as I share my story, I want people to know that this is a story of tragedy to triumph. So I had a long-standing 16-year nursing career, and I started off as an RN, and I, over that 16-year span, worked my way into nurse practitioner. And toward the end of it, I was in pain management, working in a private practice, treating chronic pain patients. And my stumbling in from corporate to entrepreneurship was something that was not something I chose, but something I had to rise above because in 2008, our practice was closed down by the medical board. And on top of that, because of the political atmosphere around it, I actually went through a year of defending myself against the nursing board. And so it was a political assassination in motion, is the way I need to describe it.
Yeah.
And it just really rocked my world. And so anyway, inside of that year, while I'm going through this process, my father passes away. And then several months after my father passed away, my husband at 47 is diagnosed with cancer. So when I tell you it all fell down, it all fell down. And I went through, fast forward, just, 2 to 5 years of figuring out who I was and finding myself. And in that period is when I tell people I felt the call from God to do what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of story around that. For the sake of time, I won't go into today until you ask me, or we can part to it. But in that period of time, I had to really build my confidence back up. And I want to say that to you ladies, like there are things that are going to take our confidence out. This was a real crossroads for me, right? As a person of faith, I decided to lean into my faith. I'd heard the call. And one Sunday, I was sitting in church and I was looking at the congregation. I knew all these beautiful women because I was a lay leader in my church. And I thought, why does she come in, check a box, and go home every Sunday? I know her
Mhm.
story. I know her passion. I know what she could do. And that's when it hit me that I was supposed to become a catalyst for them.
Mm.
And my direction was you push them forward, you're going to be in the back. And I'm like, what, Jesus? Like, I want to like rebuild my life. What do you mean be in the back? But that is truly what it
Yeah.
turned into. And I caught the coaching bug. And
Yep.
that's how
Mhm.
this all kind of got started. I got my John Maxwell certification, as you mentioned, because who doesn't love John?
Yeah.
And then, long story short, I was very fortunate to have a gentleman here in my area who started my coaching uh, venture with me by coaching me. And so it's just been a passion of mine since then.
Yeah, there's one thing that caught my attention is the leading from the back. Like having women step forward and you leading from the back. I find that sometimes that the men push back on that typical phrasing, but I feel like for women, when we can edify other women, we rise in our leadership. So I don't think it's leading from the back. I think it's like it's leaning from the side because we're supporting them on either side in the journey. And I really like that as we dive into what you're doing with your nonprofit and the global piece, because I've seen all these monuments throughout my history of just travel, and women are always holding hands, right? It's like it's not they're in a straight line, one's leading, everyone's following. It's like, no, we're walking forward together. And that's really what I hear when I hear you say that. So it just really caught my attention because I think that's the beauty of what you do.
Well, I'm really big on servant leadership. And I think when you really understand servant leadership, it's not about who's in the front or the back, the side, or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
about supporting each other. And so I just come from a heart of servant leadership.
Yeah, same. That has been like my motto since day one. Everyone's like, "What are you doing?" I'm a servant leader. Like, I want to see people succeed, and I don't want to do it in a BS way,
Right.
right? So that also comes into like what you did stepping into the coaching program. So I'm sure you're following the same methodology as everybody else, same type of format. So talk to me a little bit about that and what shifted for you.
So, as I got in and have had great coaches along the way, what I have learned is that God has really created us very uniquely. And so
Hmm.
he didn't give me the same pattern that he gave everybody else. I certainly didn't get into this the same way everybody else did, right? This is just uniquely forged. And I think God really wants to raise us up as trailblazers. We have to be the confident one to say, I am a trailblazer. So for me, my coaching really focuses on 0 to 3 year Christian females who want to enter the marketplace. And part of that is because with no slack to anyone else who's been successful, there are a lot of established coaches that have 6 and 7 figure businesses, right? And they want established entrepreneurs to work with because that supports the income level they desire. And it's not that I want to be broke, y'all. It's not that. But I
That's
feel
not a
like
business.
because we've had this shift in the coaching market, there is become an obvious gap that
Hmm.
women who don't have either the business acumen coming into entrepreneurship or don't have the war chest because they're not high level executives who've decided to leave the corporate world and start into
Hmm.
entrepreneurship. They don't have access to quality coaching. And I felt like God has put that on my heart because I was lucky enough to be in a position that I could position myself to get some quality coaching. And I
Yeah.
think as long as we have that access, it's going to bring out the best in them. And these are wonderful, big hearted women with big dreams that are going to move the needle forward and change their communities. So, why would we not reach back and help these women up? And so, these are the women who I serve. And I serve them from a level, I'll say, from uniqueness. Like, I realize how uniquely designed they are and their callings. And so, I don't use any cookie cutter whatsoever. And it's a very strategic, visionary roadmap that we build for each of them. So it's really exciting because every day is different. Every client is different in the roadmap that we build. So that's the position that I come from in my coaching aspect.
No, and I would say that I agree with you there. Anything to add on that one, Heidi?
No, I was going to say that. I mean, it's awesome. So you work with women who are just starting their business. Do they usually come to you with a business idea, or do you help them develop that too?
Yeah, let me be real clear about that. A lot of the women that I attract already know that they know what they're supposed to be doing. What they've done is either they've held back from officially LLCing it or putting that
Hmm.
nonprofit paperwork in and they're dabbling, or they've taken that step and now they're like, oh my gosh, Elaine, I have all these pieces. I've been told to do this, I've been told to do that. I don't know which way to go first.
Yes. So
And
much
so
advice.
so much advice, so many shiny object syndromes out,
Yep.
shiny objects out there to grab. And so that's where they normally come in that stage.
Yeah.
And I'm here to help them slow down, take a breath. Let's get all the pieces out on the table and figure out that one piece that is going to
Yep.
set you off on the right course.
That is key, like weeding through all the information because it's like everybody you ask is going to have a piece of information, but that's the importance of having that coach to help you, that one person that your go to help you decipher through all the shiny objects.
Well, it's funny. We say in coaching, I think you all probably know this, would say this and agree. Like the answer is really inside of you, ladies, but it
Hmm.
takes sometimes someone outside of your head to help pull it out. And
Yep.
Yeah.
one of the things I do with my clients in the very early part is what I call as a brain dump. I just let them like vomit, if you will, all over the page and we write everything down. And it's so funny that every time we do that, that missing puzzle piece is sitting there. They just couldn't see it because of all the other pieces.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and it's so true because we come in with all, I mean, I've been in the digital market industry I think since 2004, 2006. I've watched all the coaches out there and I've seen a lot of coaching, I think this is where we align for both of us is that I've seen a lot of the coaches and have been part of these programs where they give you this cookie cutter methodology and they say this works for everybody. And it's like less than 1% that it actually works for. And I'm going to be totally transparent. That's been my honest experience is that it worked for the one person that designed it, but really never worked at that same level for anybody else. And it was usually like a moment in time. They got into the market and you can't teach something old in an ever evolving new world of everything gets updated daily. And so when you're trying to teach an old method that you proved once but can't seem to prove again, I think that's when you have to like let it go.
Well, and it's two things to that. You're heading on what I would say is the second piece of that. The first piece is, and again, not to shade anyone, but so many people are hiding, they're not being transparent of how long the road took.
Right.
Most
Hmm.
very successful people, when they really peel back the curtain, they will tell you it's taken them a decade of more
Oh God,
to
yeah.
get where they're trying to go, right? But when we get in the shiny object syndrome, we see this
90
person, they're
days.
seven figures, and they're like, oh my God, in 6 weeks on my program, I can make you a millionaire. It's like, no, you can't.
No, it's
And I've listened to so many of them as it's funny, they tell their story, but we don't hear it because we're so
yeah.
focused on the outcome, right? And I
Yeah.
hear them and it's taken them years. Myron Golden, I don't know if you all know, but I follow Myron Golden, love him, love his philosophy, but he just came out recently, like in the last week, did a podcast episode on how to survive the slow build. And I would
Mm.
recommend every new entrepreneur to listen to that first because he's so transparent about the road that it took, the failures, the flops, the everything. And that's where we have to get real and we have to say, yes, you can, but it's going to be a minute.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a transition too. It's like sometimes your first idea is very unlikely going to be your last idea. And it's like in so many, it's like entrepreneurship is definitely a journey. It's not a sprint. And it's like so often you see those stories on Facebook about the 90 days to $1 million or whatever their thing is. And it's like, but you don't hear the backstory. You don't hear the years of building that audience that let them go to $1 million in 90 days. But
Or it's a matter of that they have multiple income streams and
yes,
they're only
that
selling
too.
you the one. And
Right.
that's the other piece that I've seen. So many people that are successful have multiple income streams, and we have to think about that as we're building.
My
Yeah.
favorite one though is the one for like everybody tries to get started with like a $47 offer because they see all these gurus making these low ticket offers. And all I can say is like you can't start at the lowest price point and compete against the biggest guy because the biggest person has the biggest list and has been building that for years. So a $47 offer to them against whatever size list that is, could potentially be $470,000 for them because it was a slow build to get there. So trying to teach people to lead with a $47 offer or the low ball, I feel is like really unrealistic and a lie in the marketing space because you're not looking at the full picture. You're looking at one thing that's being sold to you. And it's a pain point that you're probably looking to solve. So I have no doubt about it. A lot of that information is good, but from the entrepreneurial side, this is one thing that Heidi really says, either you have a business or you have a hobby. Either it's paying you or you're going to be broke. Like
Or a charity
or a
service.
charity service. Like and if you can't survive on that, then you're going to learn to resent your business.
It is. And part of what I've done with She Steps Forward is a complementary setup
Yeah.
that I've created. So I've created the LLC where it is a high ticket coaching offer for individual one-on-one coaching services. But then we have the nonprofit piece, and that gets more into the group programs because people probably either aren't ready for the one-to-one because they really haven't formalized exactly where they're going yet, or there
Mhm.
really is an income issue that's keeping them back from the one-to-one. So in the nonprofit, we've built it four-pronged. We've built it with an annual conference. We've built a 6-month group coaching cohort program. We are going to build an online membership because that is the way to build our list. And then we are a seed money grant organization.
Mm.
And so we're building it so those women can come in at 3 different levels, depending on where they're at, to be able to get into this quality coaching ring. But at the same time, I'm also leveraging that I can do a high ticket coaching sell as well. Now, I may not be as high ticket as some that are out there, but again, that's because I'm playing to the audience that I'm with.
Right.
And so we've made it so that there's so many on ramps that people can choose at what level they need to come in. But we've done it, if you hear me, in our nonprofit, that there's a pay in at every level because we believe in teaching women to invest in themselves. And we've done
Yes.
that here, and we've done it in Africa where they are also paying for conference tickets and cohort programs. And that is just an elevation of mindset for them that they need. Because, ladies, if you're going to get into entrepreneurship, it's busy and it's expensive when you get started.
Yes,
So we
it
just have
is.
to be real about that.
Uh-huh.
So my question for you, that one is, what's the resistance? I mean, you're in Africa, and I've been throughout Europe, and I hear a lot of, in the culture, everyone's like, I don't pay for education. I don't pay for what I do because I get supplemented. The government provides for it. All this conversation out there. So how do you work through that in that situation where you have these women that you're like, no, you're investing in yourself, and then yeah, answer that question first. Then I have a second part. I have a question.
Sure. So honestly, the give me mentality is harder here in the States. We have
Mm,
many options over here, many safe nets that we can go through to get to some of the things we want. Now, there is still, as you all know, and I think would agree, there's still some improvement we could do for females as far as getting
Hmm.
funding. I know I've heard you talk about that before, Katrina, but in Africa, with the level of woman that we're dealing with there, it's a matter of whether I eat or not.
correct.
And so they don't have time to worry about certain things. However, what I've found is it's a dignity level for them. When we first came in and we started, first and foremost, we did not come in. We told them up front, we're not here to mercantilize you. You
Hmm.
are African. We want to do it the African way. We want to learn from you. We want to elevate you from where you stand. And that was a respect point that caught their attention.
Yes.
And then the
I love
second
that.
piece was slowly teetering their mindset. So at first we went and did conferences. It was really on me. I bootstrapped it. I did it, gained their respect and trust. And then last year, May of last year was our first year that we ticketed. We asked advice on the ground. What is your economy? What would be reasonable? We came up with 4 different structured pricing levels for the conference. Every level got you a better level of access because that they do have that in their culture. And we had 100 women buy tickets last year at all 4 levels. And
Awesome.
out of that 100, we had 10 of them that purchased our cohort program for the first time. And so that to them was like, oh my gosh, she is seeing me. She sees me of value. I can do this. She's made it accessible, and I want to do it for myself.
Mm.
Mm.
And in Africa, women are struggling because there's still so much patriarchy. There's still so much control. And there's so many single moms there, quote unquote, because one, they've just been left, or they've gotten divorced, or they've been widowed. And so they really want to be able to care for themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's brought the best out in them, and they are so happy about it now. And we just have not had the struggle. We're getting ready to go into our second full ticketed conference here this July as we're recording this, and they're excited. They're ready for us to come. So we'll see how far this goes over there.
That's awesome. Have I know you've worked with people come like here in America, maybe even in Africa, but people coming out of corporate and
Mm,
even for yourself.
hmm
How did you handle the transition? Oh, you had a second.
Nope, go ahead. She already answered it.
Oh, okay. How did you handle the transition from corporate or the medical mindset to entrepreneurship? Because this is what I see people struggle with a lot. Still acting like an employee.
I was getting ready to say that is the biggest thing is like to realize you are the
Right.
CEO at that point. No one's going to get you up and make your business work unless you make it work. And so it took a little bit of time to lean in and feel that confidence that, oh, I'm the one in the driver's seat, right?
Mm,
Now, I will say my nursing background leans well with me because you're used to becoming a leader, you're used to charging
mm, yep.
ahead, you're used to kind of building out things. In my career, that's what I did, built out a pain management program for a local hospital from scratch.
Mm,
And so having some of that in my background certainly helped, but it's become like figuring out all of a sudden I went from a very regimented day where I knew I had to get up, let's just say back in the day, and be on the floor at 7, and it was going to run to 3 o'clock, and this and this had to get done during the day for each patient, to all of a
right.
sudden, oh, I need to get my schedule together. Like I shouldn't sleep in tomorrow morning. And time management became an issue all of a sudden, right? Nobody was making me do anything, and I had to
Right.
like pull back and discipline myself a little bit. So switching into you're the one that's in charge, you're the one who has to set the focus for the day. You're the one who has to dive into the big tasks that are going to bring in profit or not profit. All of those things have to come with time and get built upon. And so I've been building since 2016. In full transparency, it's still a climb, and I'm trying to do two things at one time. That slowed the process on both ends, but everything in time, and everything's been a learning adventure. And I think if we lean into being lifelong learners, which is what I have always been,
Hmm.
you can do it, but you need to find that person who knows that piece of it. Don't waste the time, energy, and money on trying to figure it all out yourself. There's so many great people out here that will loan you well, maybe not loan, but that's might not be the best word. Some people will, though. I've had some really great people lean into my life, but there's so many people out there willing to help you in your path, and they have that next piece you need, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you need to grab it because there's a lot of life to live, and you want to get there as fast as you can. We've already told you it's a slow climb. Let's not make it 50 years. Let's make it maybe 10 or 15.
I would say one thing that I want our listeners to hear also is that it is a slow journey, especially for us women, because we carry such I call it the invisible weight, but it's very visible with us, with family, caregiving. You started off your story just talking about like the shifts that had happened in your own life, the time period of like emotionally recovering and the regrounding of yourself in that time period. Like it does have a different impact, I think, for a lot of women because life doesn't just stop when something shifts on a dime, right? We're very reactive. And I'm sure even with the women that you're working with in Africa, this is a similar thing. Like they're single moms, they're taking care of their kids, they're trying to put food on the table, keep the house clean, like all this invisible weight that they carry also visibly forward as they're designing their business. And
Yeah.
so you
Oh,
talk
go ahead.
about like this journey of time. Yes, we can shorten it, but I think there's just also how does this business expand over time based on capacity?
Yeah, and life has been an adventure. Let me just say that Jesus never lets me do anything easy. He
Right.
does that so that I will have the experience to share. So if I tell you my whole journey, I won't go into, super detail, but like I went through this process of losing a career and going through some tragedies in life and had to recover from that. It took about a 5-year period to really get back up on my game. And then later on, I would go through my mom, a stroke, and having to take care of a old parent for 7 years. I had
Yeah.
my own health challenges where I had a diagnosis of ulcerative colitis. And when I say it accelerated over a year, ended up having 3 surgeries within 1 year to kind of correct and get my body back to a healthy alignment. Um, you know, there's so many things that came up along the way. And what we have a tendency to do is just want to, oh, it's too much. I want to quit. And
Mm.
what I had to do in those times is one, lean into my faith, but two, take a breath. And I just kept building every piece I could build when I could build it. And I've told people my whole life, they look at what I've done and the adventures I've been on, and I say, for me, God has opened up many doors in my life. If the door opens, go through it.
Yeah.
There's a
Mm.
reason it's there, and it's a reason it's probably there to help you build. And so if it wasn't for just consistency of continuing to build regardless of the circumstances and consistency in walking through doors when opportunity arrived, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I would have gave up. I would have went back to a regular job. I would have just said the heck with it. But there is something about the level of woman that I work with me, I think with you all, we're just passionate creatures. And when you catch that bug, when you know that you know that you know you're supposed to be doing this thing, it won't let you go. It won't let you rest at night. You just keep going. And women
Yeah.
have a tendency to do that anyway, right? We have a
Yep.
tendency to do that. We have to fight through having family and jobs and all these things that intersect in our life. And we just have learned to keep going. But at some point in that, and it took me a while to do this as an entrepreneur, you also have to learn to slow down and take care of yourself along the way too. Because many of us start this path and we end up in burnout, right? And so we have to have that piece of it in place. And now that I'm in my early 50s, and I don't mind saying that because you get a little sassy when you turn 50, ladies.
Mm.
Hey, right there
Oh,
with
I'm
you,
sassy in my
girlfriend.
40s, so I'm hanging with y'all. So I'm learning early. Thank you.
Yes, but you learn to start slowing down and taking care of yourself. And everything's a season, right? If we have to learn the seasons of our life. We're in different seasons at different times, and what you will accomplish and what you'll be able to build in that season is what's for that season. So
Yeah.
when my son was younger, there were things I could do, right? Now he's 28, I don't have to worry about all the things that I did when he was a kid, and I can build faster. So we just have to learn to lean in, enjoy the journey because it's going to be a journey. Learn how to take care of yourself and just consistently build.
Yeah. I do like that that piece of just we are in seasons, and I have to constantly remind women when I work with them. I'm like, what season are you in? Like, what does family life look like? What does your health look like? Where are you at right now? Because that plays into what we're designing and what you're designing for your business. Not what am I designing, what are you designing? And I'm just the observer on the outside saying, well, and holding you to that. It's like you said you wanted to design this. So what does that look like? And my question is like, what does that look like? So what does that look like? And just be there. As I've had the experience of owning a restaurant, working for Disney, building out coaching businesses, building out communities, doing like infinite high ticket offers, and just seeing what it does to women to be trying to do that output, but you're not in the season of life to do that high level of output. And so I thank you for bringing that up inside of here. And I think one of the interesting things you sent over a question, and you call yourself a faith in action strategist. So not a business
Yeah.
coach, because I think that's where I even find myself. I'm like, I'm not a business coach. Like that's not exactly what I do. So what's the difference and why does it matter that you call yourself a faith in action strategist?
So faith in action really comes into the point of, are you moving? And like
Mm,
you all were referring to in the beginning, is this a hobby or is this like the thing you're going to do? And
mm,
so the Bible says our faith is without works is dead, right? So
yep.
are our businesses if we build them that way. We have to have the faith to pick up and move those pieces along. And what I see is that women have again, stalled and gotten stuck.
Yeah.
They just need the direction. But what I'm also seeing in is a rise of women who really want to intersect their faith in what they're doing. And
Agree.
so I'm here to kind of in that faith and action strategist is to really give them the confidence they can put their faith forward. It's not a time to shrink back from that, that you can actually intersect that in a way that is creative, fun, accepting, not all in the face of people, and still get your point across. This is where I live out of. This is what gives me my values. This is what helps drive me. And so that picking it up every day and having the confidence that, okay, it doesn't look the way I want, but if I continue to go, it'll work itself out, is our faith. And it's our faith in action. And without doing the things that we need to be doing to grow these businesses, ministries, or nonprofits, then we're just playing around. So are you, I tell people when I got into all of this, I was a church girl, grown up in the church my whole life, but I would consider myself a bubble wrap Christian. I knew Jesus. I love Jesus, but nothing had really gone wrong in my life until 2008.
Mm.
2008 came along. I had to put my money where my mouth was, right? I had to say, this is what I believe. I believe that I was meant for this. I believe that I'm valuable enough to do this. And if I have my identity correct, for me, it's in Christ. I'm going to do this thing. And so I've just lived my life that way since I got started. I get up every day and go, Lord, I'm not liking what the bank account looks like today, but you told me to do this, so I'm going to go do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to let you worry about the rest of the outcome. That's not, you don't gain that confidence at once.
Yeah.
Faith is a growth point, right? It's a muscle
Yeah.
that we have to
Yeah.
and so it's really about that. It's about really putting our faith to work for us so that we can achieve these God-sized dreams that He's given us.
Yeah. And it's so important as you're thinking, as you're talking, I'm even thinking, in our development of the Create Her method, of our development of this structure for supporting women around their female intelligence cycle as they're designing businesses, it's a lot of it's been faith. A lot of it's like, no, I'm standing strong in this because this is what the gift I've been given, right? This is what God gave me. He said, this is what you're bringing to the world. This is what Heidi's bringing to the world. You guys are meant to partner together, and so there's been 3 years of ups and downs of going, holy crap, how are we going to make this happen? Are we buying groceries this week? Like there have been those moments, honestly. I think it's interesting is that when we work with women, we have so many limiting beliefs and a lot of cultural taught us. And I think when we lean into our faith and we say, hey, no, this is who we really are, and we step into it, I think so much changes for us. So this is a podcast around things I've like, did she really say that? Right. So as we're wrapping up this episode, has there ever been something that you've had to say to a client, say it even to yourself, and you're sitting there going, oh my God, did she really say that, or did she really do that kind of moment that you can share with us?
I think the biggest thing that I say to clients is, are you going to do it? Because I feel them holding back, and I feel them holding back from the person that they are. And so I'm really like very specific with them when we get started about who they are and building them up in the confidence of how they were built. And just saying to them, are you going to be you or not? Are
Mm.
you going to like travel this road the way you were built? Or are you going to try to be like everybody else? Because everybody else is not who you've been
Oh,
created to
I
be.
like that.
And
I got
so,
uncomfortable when you said just like everybody else. I'm like, oh no. Yeah.
and we fight this, right? Imposter syndrome is for real. The struggle is real. And so and what I tell clients is this is not going to be our first conversation about it. You're going to get to a
Right.
different level. We're going to have this conversation all over again because we
Sure.
all do this, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Every level is another level of imposter syndrome that we have to
Yep.
fight through. And so, but I'm really strategic in that and very, I don't want to say forceful is not the word, but empowering in that, are you going to be you? Or are you going to keep trying to be who else is out there in the world? Because we don't have the contents of who they are to work with. We have the contents of who you are to work with.
Yeah.
So let's get busy on that. And I promise if you lean into that, we can build a roadmap that you can succeed on. And once they get past that, it is amazing to see their eyes light up, to see them get excited, for them to have that first win. And then they are so hooked. They're like, what are we going to do next? Let's do the next piece. Let's go again. And so
awesome.
that's been my biggest joy. But ladies, please, let's get off of this comparison trap. Let's get off of you got to do it just like everybody else. Be confident that you have been built for the purpose you've been built for, and you can do it.
Yeah, I love this conversation. Anything last to add around this?
No, that was great. I love that, the way you brought that all together. That was great.
And for those of you guys who are wondering what my last question was when I said I was going to ask a question, Elaine actually answered it inside of her answer around the confidence and the mindset that gets developed when you start paying for services, when you start investing in yourself, when you find yourself worthy of being able to say, I'm creating my own money, I'm creating my own wealth, I'm at the center of this, I'm not the effect of this. And so you answered that question. So I know it's probably lingering because everyone's always like, what's the second question? That was the second question. I think we answered it for this entire conversation. So for all my did she really say that listeners out there, one thing we always ask at the end of every episode is if you found something that was important in here for you, or you heard something that another woman needs to hear, then my request is to share what we're hearing, what Elaine has bringing to the table. If you want to learn around how Elaine's building a nonprofit in another continent, right, while building a high ticket offer where she's at here, and how do you bring that together? Those are some questions you can reach out to Elaine with, right? That's the idea, is that I'm showing you different ways that businesses get built. And here's what I'm going to say to all my women is, you've already told us over and over again, you're tired of the system in which you're working in, and you want to do things differently. And then you go into the world of business outside of Elaine and us, and you follow the exact same methodology that you left corporate for, and you're still wondering why you're having struggles. Let me tell you, it's because you're not following the female model of business. You're not listening to your faith, you're not listening to yourself, and you're letting every other noise influence your decision when you know internally and soul faith what the purpose and direction you bring to this world. So thank you all.
Let me just say amen. Let me just say amen. Let's recognize that. Let me say amen for just a minute. Go, girl. I love it.
I love it.
Because it's who we are. And I say, like, stop apologizing. Stop saying you've got to get that way, because it's never been done that way. It doesn't mean that it's not your way of doing it. All of our listeners, again, if you listened or heard something, share it out. Let other women know. That's how you help. Did she really say that? Get into more women's rooms, more offices, and we really start changing the story around what it looks like to be building businesses and life-changing impacts in our world. So with that, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode. If today's conversation hit home, don't just listen, take the next step. Download the free Create Her Authentically guide at createherplanner.com/free and discover how to build your business in alignment with your natural rhythm. And if you love this episode, please leave a review. It helps more women find the show. I'll see you in the next episode.